Om Shwaha. We are on class 4. It's February the 3rd of 2024 as I'm taping this, and I'm using a new moon chart, February the 9th of 2024, where we have, new moons are always the sun and the moon conjunct each other. See how exactly 20 degrees? These orbs, aspects are planets having a relationship with one another. So if the relationship is good and it's comfortable, usually it's a trine or it's a sextile. The conjunction itself to another planet, like in your birth chart, if you have it close within 7 degrees, you see how there's different degrees here they're talking about. You have to be within 7 degrees or 8 degrees to have a conjunction. 8 degrees is a bit of a wide conjunction. The other example, this is a wide conjunction, 8 to 19, 8 and 8, 16. Now that would be a conjunction. But you have conjunctions being within 7 degrees. In your book, The Only Way to Learn Astrology, they have a list, a table of these different 5 main aspects that we're going to be talking about today. The conjunction within 7 degree orb, and then you have the square, okay? And the square, I'm going to read off because I can't read backwards here. The square is 7 degrees. The sextile is 5 degrees. The trine 7 degrees, and the opposition 7 degrees. So the sextile gets the least amount, 5 degrees. Search on that. Look under aspect orbs and see there are other astrologers that use different degrees of orbs in order to have that conjunction or that square or that sextile trine. Conjunctions tend to be the most personal. So in your birth chart, when you look at it, whatever conjunctions you have, the conjunctions are symbolized by these small circles with a little kind of arrow pointing out. See them right there? The moon conjunct the sun. That's the way you read the chart. Mars conjunct Mercury. Mars conjunct Venus. And you can see in the chart here where you have Mars and Venus conjunct one another. Now, in this sense, there's a 6 degree orb between them, right? 21 and 27 degrees. So that falls in the formula of conjunctions, the different orbs that you use. So we have conjunctions, most personal. We have squares, most stressful, challenging, but not, it's an obstacle, but it does add some impetus to the planets. They want to be active. They want to overcome something. A trine, these triangles in green, those are the graceful flowing. That's where life is least stressful. The wind is at your back. Sextiles look like stars almost. See, here's the sextile, a little snowflake. And then there's the trine. There's the squares. And so these aspects have different symbols that go along with them that you need to learn. So when you look up in your book, The Only Way to Learn Astrology, it's going to give you, I think this is page, let's see, 55. And you can see that there's, in the circle here, I have, the different angles. Those are 4 signs. That's signs, I'm sorry. Ignore that. I want you to pay more attention to the orbs along here. Conjunction, 7 degrees. Sextile, I think, is 5. No, sextile is 5. Sextile is 5. That's the least one. The other ones are 7 degrees. So a conjunction, you have a 7 degree orb between 2 planets. A sextile, you have 5 degrees between 2 planets. A square, 7 degrees. Trine, 7 degrees. And an opposition, 7 degrees. Now, we talked about just now the conjunction and the square. The sextile offers opportunities, doors opening up. Okay? So here, I don't think there's any sextiles in here, is there? Oh, there they are. Yeah, they're in the green. sextile. Those two planets are offering opportunities, windows of opportunities. The trines are the wind at your back, as I just mentioned. So we've had conjunctions, most personal. Oppositions are balanced. These are opposite signs. Here we have the part of fortune in Leo, opposing the new moon and the sun in Aquarius. So Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. The oppositions, they're a little bit stressful, They're a little bit stressful, but they're not as stressful as a square. They're more about balancing. You're learning from the opposite sign. So these opposites, like you're on a seesaw of opposition, trying to find the balance and hoping that one isn't, emphasized too much than the other. So the conjunctions are most personal. The sextiles, windows of opportunity, that's the snowflake. The trine and a little triangle, those are the wind at your back, the most graceful and effortless, very easygoing. The squares, a little bit of tension and obstacles, and then the oppositions is trying to find balance. Conjunction, sextile, square, trine, opposition. These are the aspects in astrology. So you want to study up on what it means to have different planets and different signs aspecting each other. This is probably at the heart of astrological interpretation. Not only knowing the meanings of the planets and the signs they're in, the houses they're in, right? The first three classes, we covered a lot of that. Now, how are these planets having relationships with one another? People who have too many trines are very boring. I mean, you want to shake them and, wake up and get going, get moving. So if they have some squares, like I do in my chart, I've got even a T-square, I've got some squares, it makes the personality more charismatic, I would say. It gives an impetus to the personality. The sextiles are people who really have doors opening all the time. Now, normally in a birth chart, you get a variety of them, a balance between these five major aspects. It's not going to be just one way all the time. Once in a while, I get a client that has, a lot of just too many squares. It's rare, but I've seen charts where, 8 out of the 10 planets are in square to one another, and that's a really tough life, of obstacles that they need to overcome. And so with that in mind, I don't think there's anything else that I have to say about it. You just need to study up on what I just said. And that's class 4, which covers aspects. There is a possibility, just to end this with, that there could be a planet that is unaspected, meaning it's not making any major aspects. The major aspects we just went through, 5 of them, right? If the planet in your chart is sitting there unaspected, it feels alone. It feels like, where do I connect in my relationship with the other planets? So whatever the planet is, whatever house it's in, that might be the area that you feel weak in. You may feel insecure, or just, how do I work with this energy? And the way that you work with it, you have to look at in transit. I'll be going through that through a later class, transits and how planets are moving now, and then they can finally aspect that unaspected planet. And then that planet feels like it belongs to having a relationship in the chart. So that's just one thing to take in consideration. So that ends class 4, aspects. Namaste. Click the subscribe, the like. Swaha.